the matter of Kyler Pfeiffer, file 20519.
All right, we are here for purposes of the initial disposition as it relates to both parents. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem. Ms. Thomas, counsel for the department.
Karen Sminsky, foster care worker for the department.
Michael McFarland, representing father.
Wesley Piper, dad.
Good morning, Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother. Emily, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Emily Gerber, mother.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Heiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to visit with the child. He is in a family relative placement, and what I understand is that there's cooperation between several people in the family to support this placement. He is the focus of the family. He is in daycare that is providing for his needs during the day, and then he has two parent figures who see him at night in the evenings. And mother and father visit there at the placement, and they miss more than they come, than they're present. But I think that's a reason that we need to move this just to having the agents who supervise the visits. The placement is a family friend, a fictive kin, and they understand that this is a case for reunification, and they're doing their best, but I'm not sure that they're equipped to give us information about the visits and about how this child's needs are being met. So the other thing I would ask you to consider, Your Honor, is that this case service plan or the service plan, I debate this outside of court often, and that is in our court report, a legal source of income. And by legal source of income, to me, it's an income that you can show for a mortgage. It's an income that you can show for other things that the child will need in life. A legal source of income anticipates that taxes are paid, anticipates that there are other protections in a legal source of income. In addition, it'd be nice to see some benefits. Health insurance, pension, some things like that would be frosting on the cake. But these folks, I think, scrap metal for a living, the last I knew. So in the case service plan, it anticipates that these folks will go to Michigan Works or Michigan Rehabilitative Services. I'm just indicating that I'm really looking for that. It's a really important point for this child to have a stable home. The DNA has been planned and scheduled, and that completes my report, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Ms. Kaminsky. Can you please be sworn in?
Ms. Kavinsky, come on up to where witness stands.
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Ms. Kavinsky, once you're settled, if we can have your state and spell your full name, please.
Okay, Karen is Carin. Skavinsky is Skibinski.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Ms. Kaminsky, you are the current foster care worker in this case, is that correct?
Yes.
And you prepared a court report for today's hearing?
Yes, I did.
Your cover page indicates that in addition to a court, the cover letter, a proof of service, a court report, and the case service plan, there's also confirmation of the DNA testing schedule and then drug screens by Ms. Gerber and Mr. Piper, is that correct?
That's correct.
Are there any updates to the court report or those documents?
The only updates I have the psychological evaluation scheduled for May 13th. I have referred the parents to do FAP, which is the family assistant program, which is like supervised parenting time through board shirts.
And about how long does it take for that referral to, I guess, start?
Okay, so the FAP, they can start right away. They already have an assigned supervisor. I also have them on the wait list for the foster care supportive visitation, which is a little bit more educational. The FAP is educational, but not as intensive as supportive visitation.
Your court report as relates, well, let me kind of just get through some of these basics. As relates to the case service plan that is part of the court report today, did you have the opportunity to meet with the parents and go over that and get their input about as to any other resources or services they might need?
I did meet with them about the case service plan, and then yesterday I met with Emily and Wesley, not directly about the case service plan, but Emily did tell me that she would like to go to rehab, so that is a service that she's interested in.
Okay. And do you believe that the case service plan as written right now and also in consideration of potential rehab for Ms. Gerber, it adequately addresses the conditions that cause the child to come into care?
I think so, yes.
What would you say are the current barriers to reunification?
Their housing situation is maybe not the most stable or the most safe that would be approved for a child to go home to. Emily's substance abuse that she's ready to address. And then the medical neglect that the child wasn't getting his proper appointments.
And since the parents entered a plea at the last hearing, have they started any voluntary services to address those barriers?
They've reported to me that they are going to work with Catholic Charities. They've already done intake with Catholic Charities, and they're going to do parenting education with the Care Pregnancy Center.
Have they signed all necessary releases for you to obtain any information you need?
Yes.
Wonderful. And the child, as Ms. Heiss stated, is with a fictive in relative placement?
Yep, it's like their close family friend as far as I understand, so fictive kin placement.
Is there any indication that that would change in the coming review period?
No.
So your report, I guess parenting time, I know that the order prior to today's hearing allowed for supervised or unsupervised parenting time. I believe policy is that if there's no risk of harm to the child, then unsupervised parenting time is what should be happening, correct?
Mhm.
And would you say that there is no longer risk of harm to the extent that the parents could exercise unsupervised parenting time?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would go for supervised parenting time just because, you know, the admission of substance abuse still being a problem, just so that we can be aware of it, as well as parenting education, just so they have more hands-on like support.
Your note or your report indicates that the relative placement, fictive kin, made attempts to allow for some pretty liberal parenting time, but that was not really taken advantage of. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any schedule that this child can rely on to see their parents?
We created a schedule when we discussed a case service plan that they're going to come at least every Thursday. And it was Saturday, but they said placement is really busy on Saturday, so they switched it to Sunday. So they're going to do every Thursday and Sunday, and then more if they can fit it in their schedule.
The referrals that you just put in for FAP and supportive foster care supportive visitation, would those be in addition to the supervised parenting time by the relatives, or do you think that that taking it away from the relative caregivers would allow the family to work better together? I don't know if I asked that correctly, but do you have an opinion on that?
I guess I'm kind of open to either way, like if we're doing it in addition to the caregivers supervising, or if they're just gonna take over. I mean, FAP is 1 time a week, so the caregivers, if they're willing to, which they have reported to me they are, would still need to supervise one of the other visits, and I as well am able to supervise visits, so.
And are you getting any feedback from the relative caregivers? Are they taking notes and providing you notes with whether the parents have come with appropriate supplies, whether they're appropriate, the times, dates, and all of those things?
Yes, they do that.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight from your report for the court?
I don't think so, no.
Thank you. Your Honor, with that, I have no further questions of Ms. Skavinsky and would ask the court to accept the court report and the case service and the attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
I have no objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions, Ms. Berger?
Ms. Skibinski, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Can Do parents come prepared for visits?
As far as I understand, yes.
Okay, and do they bring items with them?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and the new schedule that you just talked about, is that something that has been implemented already, or that's something we're going to do moving forward?
It was implemented 2 weeks ago when I discussed a case service plan with them, but also going forward, I would like to continue that.
Okay, and you did have a case service plan meeting with them?
Yes,
And did they sign the case plan?
yes, they did.
I'm sorry, my client, she signed, right?
Yes.
Okay. And have referrals been sent out for any services yet?
Yep, I referred them to the FAP program. I also put them on the wait list for the foster care supportive visitation. I sent referrals for the psychological evaluation, and I have the DNA test scheduled.
Perfect, okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, the guardian ad litem had some concerns with my client's income. And I just became aware of this when I helped my brother turn in a car, but they give you receipts when you turn in scrap metal. Are you aware of that?
Yes,
So would it be beneficial, let's say if every 2 weeks my client gives you just maybe screenshots, all the receipts from all the scrap metal he's turned in?
he's provided me those scrap metal receipts.
So are you satisfied that he does have a legal identifiable source of income in the receipts he's presenting to you?
I don't know if it's, I mean, it is scrapping metal. Anybody can scrap metal. I don't know if it's a legal employment job. Like, that's not a job, you're just scrapping metal.
Well, why is it not? Well, let me withdraw that. Are the receipts he's providing, is that sufficient income in your mind? What is the income that's been reported? Let me ask you that.
I mean, each receipt ranges from $50 to $100.
So cumulative per week or every other week, about what?
I mean, it depends how much metal you're scrapping. I don't know how you could say that's consistent income.
Well, I mean, what has he provided you so far as dollar amounts, as far as receipts?
I'm not sure. I couldn't be sure what the total amount per week is of the receipts.
So you're not gonna say that it's not sufficient to raise a family, correct?
In my opinion, it's not sufficient.
Okay.
It's not consistent.
Okay. So should he be looking then, are you saying, for maybe a factory job or something that will provide a consistent source of income with possible benefits such as health insurance and other benefits that might be out there? Is that what we're hearing, just so we're on the same page?
Correct.
Okay. You also provided to my client a register of actions showing that he's off of probation right now, correct?
That's correct.
You understand that he's looking for a vehicle that would help him with transportation?
Correct. I mean, I provided that to him so he can get his driver's license.
Right, his driver's license. I guess he needs a driver's license is what he needs, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he's attending the AA meetings, NAAA meetings. You're aware of that, correct?
No, I'm not aware of it. That AA meeting is from 2021 from his probation.
Got you. Okay. Okay, sure. I have nothing further, Your Honor. Well, yeah, just one. Where should my client focus on his case service plan? Should that be employment, or where should it be?
Employment and parenting education.
Okay. And the parenting education is where you've already prescribed, right? Is that yes?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Ms. Heiss?
I have no questions, thank you.
Have you been able to make any headway in the evaluation of the other people that are living in the same home where their parents are?
The only headway I have made is this morning I received the police records for that address, which sort of tells me some people who live there, like there's some names, but I don't know who lives there. So, and I don't know the landlord's name, who also resides in the home.
I saw some references in here of transportation. Do they have transportation or they don't?
They do have a car, but they do not have driver's licenses.
Got it. Questions based on my questions?
No, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Well, it wouldn't be a legal source of income if they need transportation to scrap, unless they can show you a transporter for their service, right?
I agree, yeah.
I have nothing further.
Right, thank you for your testimony, Mayor.
I do have one other question, Your Honor, my client just brought to my attention.
What?
My client also indicates that he also does landscaping, which is just picking up right now. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, that is a legitimate occupation. Do you agree?
In a sense, I've asked him if it's an LLC. He said it's mostly just like a hustle, so it's not a legitimate business.
So what you're looking for, just to get this straight, is you're looking for something with a consistent reportable income that may have benefits for the minor child. Is that what we're hearing?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Now you may return.
Thank you.
Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
Ms. Gerber, do you want to testify today?
I don't know what I mean. I can, if you want me to, yeah.
It's up to you if there's anything you want to give an update on.
Oh, no, not really. Just them going into treatment. I'm excited.
I have no formal witnesses then, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
No witnesses, thank you.
Comments then, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, we would just ask the court to, I guess, schedule this just for a standard review hearing at this point. Sounds like there are some referrals that are underway and to get going to assist the family in reunification. I think perhaps changing the order, I think it's most appropriate this time to ask for parenting time to remain supervised solely, and if we need to change that during the review period, we can always ask, but I think with the inconsistency that was shown through the court report, it does not bode well for showing stability for the child and safety as far as we are concerned. And I think that with the additional FAP and supportive visitation, when that list, becomes available, or that service becomes available after the wait list, that would be sufficient to give the parents a significant time with their child and maintain that bond while also safeguarding the child's well-being. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We would ask that parenting time continue how it is, that it does not need to be supervised by the agency, except for if the parties engage in FRP or orchards. And in those instances, those parenting time sessions essentially are supervised. But we're asking that they continue on this new schedule that they've created, that it can be supervised by the caregivers, and that they have time to work this case plan service. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
All right, I know when we were in court last time, the court gave us a very short leash of 6 months. So I think my client is well aware of what the agency would like. I realize that he likes to hustle and do things, scrapping and landscaping and all that. I do realize that they would like to see a steady source of income, something that might be able to provide health insurance for the minor child, especially since the mother's in a rehab, she may not be able to contribute to the income. So just pointing that out to my client, because we all want both of them to succeed here. Your Honor, I think he knows what the priorities are, and we would also support the position of Ms. Berger as far as parenting time.
Ms. Heiss?
I have no more comments, thank you.
Any formal position on the parenting time issue?
Yes, the amount of missed visits is larger than the amount of made visits. This child is bonding, this child is growing, he's meeting developmental milestones, he's met his daycare providers, lots is changing for him. I think if they wanted visits, they would be consistent, and then we would expand to unsupervised. I don't understand that I understand they don't have licenses or they have a car, but I don't know about car seats, but I would ask you to have it supervised. In this educational setting is everything they need to succeed if they would embrace these concepts. So until they've had that chance at education, I would ask you to have it supervised.
Thank you. Well, the court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's dispositional hearing. I do have a copy of the proposed case services plan, which does appear to have been signed by both parents, which is great. That will be the pathway forward that the court will evaluate to determine whether or not there's been progress made in this case. It does appear that we need some additional time to make headway to allow Ms. Gerber to enter into her rehabilitation, to give Mr. Piper some time to maybe get a hold of a driver's license so he can transport safely and legally both himself and his child. I am going to abide by the recommendation of the guardian ad litem for supervised parenting time at this time, but that will include parenting time that would be supervised by the placement. So, and I'm doing that just because we need to make sure that we've got safe transportation, as well as an understanding of the other residents in the home that the child might be exposed to. So hopefully by the time we get back on our next review period, we'll have some of that information and be able to reevaluate that parenting time and whether or not it should or could include unsupervised moving forward. As it relates to the placement, the child is in the safest and least restrictive placement, considering the circumstances. We're still looking for both parents to demonstrate that they would be able to provide for the child. I don't, frankly, really, it doesn't matter to me what your employment is, as long as you're able to provide for yourselves and your child on a regular basis. And you're gonna end up having some time to demonstrate to us whether or not what you're doing is sustainable, because we're gonna come back in 3 months. And we'll be able to see, at least in that 3-month time frame, whether or not you've been able to demonstrate that to Ms. Skivinsky. Feel free to continue supplying those records, and copies also to the attorneys might help as well on that, since there's so many questions around employment. Also, we'll need you to tackle that Orchards Family Parenting Education Program, which should help also look at things like budgeting and some other skill building exercises, and give you also a contact to demonstrate your parenting skills, which you appear to be fine. So in the meantime, the child will remain where he has been previously placed. Will not be moving him. Will remain in that placement where he is doing well. That is the safest and least restrictive the circumstances, as the parents continue to try and make headway to reduce those barriers towards reunification. I'm looking at May 28th at 9 a.m. for our first regular review. But I do have that whole day available if there's a different time that works better.
Is that okay with you?
Works
Okay,
for me.
my client.
All right, very good. So unless there's any questions, that's all for today. We'll see you May 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Want my client to wait in the hall for the order, Your Honor?
Sure. I'll have you do this.
You see?
You may.
Wait up.